Have you ever had a flight where you knew things were not going as planned? When as soon as your wheels left the ground, you realized that you wish you were back on the ground again? Well, this was one of those flights for me. Perhaps the winds were gusting too hard, or you just weren't feeling confident in your crosswind skills in said aircraft. Or maybe you took just a little bit longer on your ground checks than anticipated, making you return to your home airport a little later than you're comfortable with. All of these things were in play. And because of my novice aviator, get back on the ground now syndrome, I skirted with disaster and marginally dodged a serious incident with precious cargo aboard. Hello friends and fellow aviators, and welcome to Triple Tree Aviation, where today I'm reluctantly sharing a near incident from a local flight I took in my early days of aircraft ownership, in hopes that it will help my fellow pilots prevent the same scenario. I would say that the first lesson that I learned that evening was never be desperate to fly. At the time, we had been experiencing IMC weather for a couple of weeks, leaving this VFR pilot anxious to get back up to the friendly skies. And this particular day presented itself as a relatively tolerable day for flying a small aircraft, considering what the conditions had been for what seemed like an eternity. Thinking back on it now, I realized that my strong desire to fly had clouded my piloting judgment, negating the fact that, even though it seemed beautiful, the crosswind factor that night was still stronger than what I had experienced in my little Cessna 150. After a perfect run-up and following a strict pre-flight checklist, I took to the skies and instantly realized that the conditions we were experiencing were beyond my comfort level and were going to make for landing conditions I wasn't yet accustomed to in my newly acquired airplane. I say we because it just so happened to be the day I elected to introduce my lovely bride of 26 years to our new chariot of the skies. Yup. I did that, guys. But she is very forgiving and flies with me still. Since we were already committed to the flight, I decided to proceed with the plan and flew her to the coast of Florida, just a short flight away, to experience a beautiful sunset from a bird's eye view. The flight would also give me a bit of time to relax the nerves I was trying to hide from my wife and to mentally prepare for the anticipated return. After a couple of quick turns over the coast, I quickly realized, even though it was only 8 miles away from our home airport, the sun would be almost gone by the time we returned to land. This is where the video picks up, flying in the traffic pattern as the sun is quickly making its way to the horizon. I felt like the sun and I were inadvertently racing to the finish, me landing and it retiring for the evening. As I was not current on night flying at this time, I was really uncomfortable with the idea of landing any time after the sun had set. This is where every mistake became very apparent to me. Take a look at the paused video and let's start a discussion. Do you see what I see? There are at least 5 mistakes and just as many bad decisions that I made at this point. Write what you think I did wrong in the comments. This would also be a great time for you to show your support for this channel by subscribing and liking this video. It takes a lot of guts to put yourself out there like this, knowing the potential backlash I might receive for my decision making. But we all need to learn from each other's mistakes for the betterment of general aviation. If you need more time to comment, hit pause. You already know by the title of this video that I wasn't going around. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay, let's back up a few seconds and let me walk you through this. There's no way for you to know by looking at the video, but the winds were coming from the east, so a tailwind was pushing me past final. When I finally made the turn, I was way too high and way too fast and had overshot the runway. Looking off to the left, you can see that I'm almost at the numbers and I'm still over 200 feet above the runway. This is nowhere near a stabilized approach. By this time, I should have already made the call to, you guessed it, just go around. But I didn't. Instead, I risked the safety of 2 souls and a perfectly good aircraft to avoid having to fly the pattern again after sunset. I pulled the power, engaged full flaps, and pointed the nose down to the runway, where I overshot. Again. By the time I touched down, I had about 500 feet of asphalt in front of me. I firmly applied my brakes and slowed us to a safe speed to taxi to the ramp. This was not my proudest moment. In fact, you can hear me tell my wife, "That was stupid," in the video. The key takeaway that I hope you guys get from this video are to know your limitations and don't push them. Fly in conditions where you can demonstrate your piloting skills with confidence and proficiency. And most importantly, if things are not going as planned during your turn to final, just go around. I hope you learned something from this. Thanks for watching.